Today we're switching it up with SwitchBot. Hey everybody, and welcome back to One Home Lab. In today's episode, we'll be exploring how we can use SwitchBot devices alongside our KNX system. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with SwitchBot, they have started on Kickstarter with their first product, the SwitchBot Bot, which they still produce to this day. It's this device that mounts on existing switches, and it basically enables you to switch physical devices remotely. But of course, they have come a long way since 2016 when they launched on Kickstarter, and they have produced everything from motion sensors, lights, locks. Also, one of their most notable devices is the Curtain Bot that you mount on existing curtains, and it basically moves and opens the curtains remotely. Now, for today, we have prepared 3 devices. Before we talk about that, let's just briefly talk about how SwitchBot devices work with Matter. So similarly as last time, when we were talking about IKEA devices, in their example, they use the Zigbee protocol for their devices, but if you connect them to the Dirigeera hub, this opens up the devices to Matter, and of course you can then use them in other apps like Apple Home, Google Home, and most importantly, One Home. Here with the SwitchBot, it's a different example. Most of their devices work via Bluetooth, so you still need a hub that opens up these devices to Matter. So you connect these devices via their SwitchBot app, they communicate via Bluetooth with the hub, but when you import the hub to One Home, you control these devices via Matter. So let's talk about what devices we have prepared for today. First things first, of course, we need a hub. This is their Smart Hub 2. And what's interesting about it, that it's not just a hub that connects the devices. For example, it also has a humidity sensor, it has a temperature sensor, and it also has 2 buttons that you can use to then trigger automations, turn on lights, open curtains, and so on and so on. Second up, we have the SwitchBot Curtain 3, of course, the robot that mounts on curtains, and you can use it to open these curtains remotely. And third of all, we have this SwitchBot Remote, but we have found out in our testing that it's not the most suitable to use with One Home via Matter, because it requires you to bind it with a certain scene in the SwitchBot app. This could interfere with using this remote button with One Home automations. We will definitely be testing it again in the future, if maybe it will be more suitable to use it with One Home as a push button. And now, of course, we want to see what we can do with these devices in One Home and with KNX. Okay, so here we are in the One Home dashboard. I have imported all the SwitchBot devices via Matter into One Home, and we see it here in the room called SwitchBot. We have the first SwitchBot button labeled on from the Smart Hub 2. We have the second SwitchBot button, then we have the temperature from the hub, the humidity from the hub, and then we have the curtain, which is the SwitchBot Curtain 3 that we have mounted here behind me on the curtains. Now let's see some automations I have prepared with these devices. First, let's start simple. Let's see how we can use these Smart Hub buttons to turn on KNX lights. So first we set up a trigger. We're listening for the initial press on the SwitchBot Smart Hub 2. Then in the condition, we're checking whether the KNX light is turned on or off. And then, of course, if the light is turned on, we want to turn it off. And if it's turned off, we want to turn it on. And let's see how the automation works. We press the on button, the light turns on. We press it again, the light turns off. But now let's check something more interesting. Now, when it comes to controlling curtains in KNX, we can quickly come into some sort of hurdle. Because the options are very limited. Also, the options that are available are usually not the cheapest and also not the most visually pleasing. So what if I told you that you can now use a KNX button or a KNX sensor to trigger and control a SwitchBot curtain tree to open and close curtains. That makes it quite easier, quite faster, and quite cheaper. So let's see how the automation looks. For the trigger, we're listening for the initial press on our KNX push button. Then, for the condition, we're checking whether the curtain is open or closed at that time. So, if it is opened, we want to close it. And if it is closed, we want to open it. So this is a simple way to control opening and closing our curtains with a single push of a KNX push button. And now let's see it in action. There it goes. And now let's try to close it. I push the button again. Works like a charm. And it doesn't stop here. You can use this curtain bot in other automations. Let's say you want to close your curtains 10 minutes after sunset every day to prevent some unwanted gazing into your home. This is exactly what this automation does. It uses the time of sunset as a trigger, and then in the actions you set the curtain bot to close. And of course, if you want some more light on your porch, you can set your KNX light to turn on. Using Matter devices such as these SwitchBot gadgets truly is a game changer when you pair it with KNX. And it makes things super easy to retrofit, to upgrade areas of your home that would otherwise remain dumb, not smart. So this was a bit of a shorter episode, but of course we will revisit more SwitchBot devices in the future. For now, we just wanted to focus especially on this curtain bot to show you how you can use these kind of devices with your KNX home. Do you know what brand of devices we will be reviewing next? You can guess in the comments down below. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.